In this video we're going to look at solving quadratic equations by factorising. There are several methods of solving quadratic equations and we're going to restrict ourselves to factorising, which is when you try and put the quadratic equations into brackets. So here we've got x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. We're going to try and put that into brackets. Now, it's quite important that first of all you do have it equal 0. If you don't have it equal to 0, this method won't work. So we'll do an example of one of those in a minute to show you what would happen. If you've got an x squared, the only way you can have an x squared is by multiplying an x by an x. So if there's just an x squared here, you put an x at the beginning of each bracket. Now, you look next at this number over here, which is 14. I now need two numbers that multiply together to give me 14. Now that could be 1 and 14, or it could be 2 and 7. I don't know yet which pair it will be going to be. But those are the only pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 14. And we keep just a whole numbers in this. Now, I'm looking also to get a 9 by doing an adding up. So 1 and 14, I don't get 9. 2 and 7, I do get 9. So those are the numbers I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using 2 and 7. And it doesn't matter which bracket they go in if the brackets are identical up to that point. The other thing is you need to know what signs go in here. If there's a plus sign here, both of the signs in the brackets are the same as this sign here. So they are both pluses. It actually always works out if everything up here is a plus, everything down here is a plus. Now if I wanted to check what I've done, if I multiplied those brackets together I would get this. I'd have an x times by an x, which gives me an x squared, a 2 times by an x, which gives me 2x, and an x times by a 7, which gives me 7x. And if I add my 2x and my 7x together, I get the 9x. And the 2 and the 7 times together to give me 14. So I've now got this bracket, and that's from timesing together equals 0. Now if two things multiply together to get 0, then the only way you can do that is by one of them, or actually it could be both of them, equals 0. So when we get to this stage here of two sets of brackets equals 0, we can say that either the first bracket equals 0 or the second bracket equals 0. Now if x plus 2 equals 0, that means x must equal minus 2, because it's minus 2 plus 2 that equals 0. And over here, if x plus 7 equals 0, well x must be minus 7, because it's minus 7 plus 7 that gives you 0. So we get two answers, and that's what usually happens with quadratic equations. You will get two answers, or sometimes you can get one answer. And if you want to check whether they work, which is often a good idea in the exam, you can do that. If I want to check the x equals minus 2 really does work, I can stick that back in the equation up here. So x, which is minus 2, squared, plus 9 times by x, plus 14. Now let's see what that equals. I'm hoping it's going to equal 0. Minus 2 squared means minus 2 times minus 2, and that is 4, a plus 4. A minus times a minus is a plus. Plus 9 times minus 2, a plus times a minus is a minus. So that will give me minus 18, and then I've got my plus 14. And 4 minus 18 is minus 14. When I plus that 14 on, I will get 0. And I know there I have that answer correct. So that's one example. We're going to look at another example now. Next example we're going to look at is going to be x squared minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. Again, at the moment it equals 0, so we're okay. Now this time, let's just have a look at the signs first. I have a plus sign here, and if I've got a plus sign here, it means that the two signs in the brackets are both the same as that sign there. So I know immediately I can put a minus in both of these brackets. And if I've got an x squared here, the only thing that can come from is an x times by an x. So I know I can do that straight away. Now I'm looking for numbers that times together to get 24. So that could be 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. But I'm looking that I can combine them by doing adding or taking to get 10. If I add or take those two, I can't get 10, I can get 23 or 25. If I add or take those, I can get 10. I can get 10 from doing 12, take 2. So I could get 10 there. 3 and 8, I can get 5 or 11 if I take or add with that one. So that one's not helpful. That one wasn't helpful. And down here, I can get 10 from here by doing 4 plus 6. That's okay. So I've got two options here where I could get 10. But if I look back here, I've got both minus signs, and I need to get minus 10. Now, minus 2 and minus 12, that makes minus 14. That doesn't make 10. Minus 4, minus 6, that does make 10. So out of all my four options, that's the one I need, minus 4 and minus 6. Because if when I multiply this out, minus 4 times x is minus 4x, minus 6 times x is minus 6, and when I combine those, I get minus 10. And when I times those together, I get my 24. My next step is like before. Once I have the two brackets multiplied together equaling 0, I can say either the first bracket equals 0 or the second bracket equals 0. What number, when you take 4 from it, equals 0? 4. So either x is 4 or, over here, x would equal 6, because 6 take away 6 equals 0. If we look at a third example, we'll do x squared plus 4x equals 12. X squared plus 4x equals 12. It doesn't equal 0 at the moment, and I have said we've got to make sure they equal 0 to start with. So what I need to do first is to shift this 12 to the other side. You can think of it, if you like, of taking 12 off both sides. If I take 12 off the right hand side, I get nothing. And if I take 12 off the left hand side, well, that was my left hand side, I need to put in that minus 12. And now I can get ready to do my two brackets. A minus sign here tells me the signs in the brackets will be different. That means one will be a plus, one will be a minus. Now I need numbers that times together to get 12. That could be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. And I need a pair of numbers that combine together to give me 4. I can get a 4 from a 6 and a 2. 6 take away 2 is 4. So let's just put my x's in, because that's what I will need for my x squared. Now I said 6 take away 2 is 4. 6 will go with a plus. The 2 will go with the minus, because it's plus 6 minus 2 that is 4. If you multiply that out, you will get what we need. So the answers here will be minus 6 and 2. Now I have missed one line of working out this time. I didn't bother writing in either the first bracket equals 0 or the second bracket equals 0. If you just get the simple brackets here, if it's x plus something, the answer will be minus that something. And if it's x minus something here, the answer will be plus number of that thing. Okay, so I did miss that line out. I could have written down in there either x plus 6 equals 0 or x minus 2 equals 0, and from there I could have got my same answers. There will be some more examples in part 2 of this video.